I have some good news for you. You've won the 10,000 pounds RSL Giles and Aubyn Award.
Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, that's going to make things a little bit easier.
It's really such a fascinating subject that you've chosen, the leprosy, and your proposal and your first chapter is so well written, and you've got all this global range and the traveling, and I was so impressed, by how you saw this as a kind of a global issue, and how you've included, non-European sources of research, and your writing is sophisticated and really, it comes alive. The character, the sample that I read, you interview this woman, and she really feels very real to the reader, and it's really great, and I'm looking forward to reading the whole book.
It was definitely one of those things where when I had the idea for the book, and when I was writing the proposal and the outline of the book, it's one of those things you put in all your ideas and everything you want to do. Sort of looking at the traveling, I'm kind of like, oh, actually, is this achievable in in practice? But yeah, I mean, it's such a it is such a global subject, and it's such a subject that I kind of wanted that couldn't be written from the archives. Couldn't be, a lot of. I will be sitting in the British. I am sitting in the British Library a lot, and what have you. But that's not really, that story. The history of leprosy is there, or it's often misconstrued. The history of leprosy, or misunderstood. It was so important to go and meet those people and really hear it in their own voice, and that's what my sole aim is, to give those people a platform to speak, because by the very nature of the disease and what they lived through, sort of forced segregation, even after it wasn't medically. Even after it was proven it wasn't medically necessary in many parts of the world, their voices were hidden.
I mean, even when you're talking, and that's what I saw in the chapter that I read, is this human side of it. You bring that out, and at the same time, you're aware of the medical, the disease itself. You tell us about that, and the cures, and also the political dimension, and also then after that you've got the conceit of outsiders, and the way it's also been manipulated politically, and all of that. It just makes it so fascinating, because it's all layers and layers and layers.
Yeah, and they have often these are historical people, although I guess in Mozambique I'll talk about NGO culture as well, but the historical figures are kind of fascinating people, and they obviously have their own motives, and some of them are obviously good. Like, there's a Belgian priest, Father Damien, who's kind of the most famous figure he's the first figure you encounter if you start researching leprosy. And he kind of quite a selfless individual, went to Hawaii and lived and was sort of abandoned by the church on an island. But that's all wrapped up in colonialism and the treatment of the Hawaiian indigenous people, which so much of this is. Another chapter set in South Africa, and using it's just Robben Island, which is obviously the island where Nelson Mandela and the other
was,
another heroes of the anti-apartheid struggle are kept. That was originally a leprosy hospital. And yeah, so it's an interest in sort of looking. So the book's very much sort of both rescuing leprosy from being a metaphor, but also looking at the very real moments when it does cross into other points of segregation, be it gender, race, colonialism. I mean, the story of leprosy is just hugely wrapped up in colonialism, basically. You know, but yeah, so this will give me definitely lots of time and space just to complete the research, and also obviously do the writing, because I have, you know, day jobs and bills and everything else to pay, and you know, fact checks to do, and you know, a lot of work which I was slightly wondering if I'd ever be able to finish. Or have space to finish, I mean, like. So this is gonna change a lot.
That's great. That's great.